Asteria, another game that tries to scratch our 2D sandbox craving, promising fast-paced combat and mining. Mine in the randomly generated world, fight bosses in handcrafted dungeons. Sounds like Terraria with faster-paced combat? Basically is. You are Ryker 241, the last surviving human on an alien planet, wearing the most fabulous power armor you could get. Unlike other sandbox games, mining is fast-paced. You have a laser that dissolves materials in one hit, walks more like a vacuum. But the blocks are really tiny, often ending with one floating block you need to aim precisely just to move forward. Still, it's faster than the usual "I'm gonna hold the button until the single block pops off" and dig a hole for the next 30 minutes or so. Combat-wise, you're Mega Man. You have a blaster that shoots single shots or a powered shot. Movement is fast and responsive. And this is where it went downhill for me. Combat is really simplified, enemies barely telegraph their attacks, auto-aiming at you once you're in sight. There's no recovery time, meaning enemies can drain half of your life just by touching you. Oh, and if you fall into a group of enemies, you get hit from all of them. The first boss was near impossible for me to kill him. His attacks are homing on you, he spawns a lot of smaller creatures, and you need to get in range of your blaster to right-click him to death. You can craft better weapons to kill stuff quicker, but everything is tiered, the next tier offering just higher stats. There's barely any items which offer combat equipment variety. All the stuff is just upgrades to stuff you already have, more damage, more energy, and so on and so forth. And you cannot craft some equipment unless you beat the boss of the current tier. You're essentially trapped in a loop of 1. Mine stuff until you get to an impassable layer. 2. Craft the best gear you can. 3. Find a dungeon to beat a boss. 4. Craft tools which let you mine deeper. 5. Repeat until you're bored to death. That's all there is to the game, nothing more. Graphically wise, they went with a more realistic style than the Toon Pixel style Terraria had. The backdrops look very nice, but the terrain is very lacking. There's little variety in the world. My biggest complaint is that the backdrops sometimes blend in with the foreground, and that enemy is walking on a background. Great. The generated world is boring, there are no structures or anything to find. I traveled east and west of my starting location, all I saw is just hills of mud with a splash of puddle from time to time. The world is built out of impassable layers until you have the right tools, so exploration is limited. It's like eating cake with dedicated spoons for each layer. Dungeons, on the other hand, are supposed to be handcrafted, but I've seen Terraria do better randomly generated stuff. Item graphics are high quality, although the crafting menus could be a little less more cluttered, a little bit more categorized. In conclusion, this could have been a much better game. The concept is good, but the execution is lacking. It's not the OMG worst game ever! No. With some more work, it could be tweaked to be a better experience with more content and variety.